lesson 9.2. I told you guys then, after we had learned some different things about polynomial functions, we were going to come back to lesson 9.2 and graph them. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. Here's your heading. Let me get this to work here. Graphing polynomial functions, lesson 9.2, part 2. Now, we did lesson 9.2 many weeks ago, and of course that was called, we didn't really call it part 1, but if you want to go back in your notes and find that lesson and put part 1 with it, you can. But that's why I'm calling it part 2, because we did do a lesson 9.2 earlier in this chapter. Okay, so we're going to look at today graphing polynomial functions. Be sure and include today's date right here. Okay, alright, moving on. Now, I'm not being lazy in this video, but I want you to spend most of your time learning as you work on your homework. You should actually be thankful that I'm doing this. It saves you some note-taking time, and it allows you to spend more time on your homework. So I'm not going to give you any examples in this video. Now, let me talk to you about how to graph a polynomial function. I need you to pause the video as often as you need to and take really good notes. First, when I give you a polynomial function to graph, you want to write down what the end character traits are and the most number of turns it can take. For example, you don't have to write this down unless you want to. I'm using a mouse. This will be a little sloppy, but if I have something like this, there we go. If I have something like that, remember, we learned 4 scenarios about whether the degree is even or odd and whether the lead coefficient is positive or negative. So we have an odd degree, third degree, and we have a negative lead coefficient. That means to the left the graph will go up, and to the right it's going to go down. So that's what I mean when I say write down the end character traits and then write down the most number of turns it can take. Well, this is a power of 3 or a degree of 3. You always subtract 1 from that, you get a 2, so the most number of turns it can take is 2. Now, you do not have to, the graph does not have to take 2 turns, you understand that, okay? But it's allowed to take up to 2 turns. So the first thing you do is you write down these characteristics of the graph just by looking at the function. You can write down those things off to the side, okay? Alright, moving on. That's the first thing you want to do. Next, you want to find the zeros. Now, I have taught you how to find the zeros. We've done this over and over. You put 0 in for y, and then you solve the equation. So the reason, here's why you want to find the zeros, okay? Remember what I taught you in the past. Zeros are the exact same thing as what? X-intercepts. So once you know the x-intercepts of the graph, that helps you get a really good idea of what's going on with the graph. So the first thing you do is you write down the end character traits and the most number of turns it can take. Write that down off to the side somewhere, and then you find the zeros of the function. Now when you find the zeros, you've really found the x-intercepts. So now you know where the graph crosses the x-axis at, okay? Next, or lastly, you want to make a table of values that uses x values to the right and to the left of each zero. Now I want you to write this down. It's not going to make a lot of sense, but it will once I show you what that means, okay? So you lastly fill in the table of values that uses x values to the right and to the left of each zero, alright? And then you graph the function after you fill in your table of values, you graph the function. Now, as you can see, now I'm not spending hardly any time on teaching you this. I want to practice the homework together. And believe me, that's the best way to learn this. I know what I'm talking about. That's the best way to learn this. Now, what if there aren't any x-intercepts? Okay, fair enough. If there aren't any x-intercepts, then you kind of start at the origin here and work your way to the left and to the right. In other words, you would want to go maybe, I don't know, about 4 values to the right. So you want to put in 1, 2, 3, and 4 into your table of values. And then put in 0. Then go about 4 values to the left of the origin. Here's the origin, which would be -1, -2, -3, and -4. Now, after you've done that, and you've gotten a look at the graph. And of course you know the end character trace and the most number of turns it can take. After you've done that, you might want to go a little further and put in some more values to the right and some more values to the left. But if there aren't any x-intercepts, you've really just got to kind of start the origin, work your way to the right, work your way to the left with x values, and just kind of see what you can find out, okay? But most of the ones I'm going to give you, if not all of the ones I'm going to give you, will have x-intercepts, okay? Alright, now, that's it. I hope you've written all of this down. Don't worry. Don't stress. All of this will make sense once we start working on these on your homework, okay? Every single one of these steps here will make sense once we start graphing these. Alright, so that's it. And let's go ahead and take a look at the homework here.